you're not going to have a lot of stores. You're going to have flagship stores where you can create experiences and ways for people to connect. I still believe that brick and mortar will come back. And I still believe that a lot of online brands will have a physical presence. But if you're not prioritizing your digital experience, and if you're not connecting with people where they are, which is on their phones, you're not in the game. Frankly, I would say she did so many amazing things just through the relationships that she was able to develop. We had an entire events team that would go into markets and really cultivate the market and make contact with the people in those marketplaces. And that's what building community is, right? It's not about online, offline. It's both.
And about not being able to measure the ROI, right? Like,
no, we never could, but it was one of the smartest things we ever did. I mean, our events team would go out and look, you got to get your product out there. You need people to try your product, and you need people to talk about your product. And there's no magic formula to that. You try things, you assess, and then you double down on what works, and you cut what doesn't work. That is the approach. Frankly, in all businesses. I mean, if you're not trying new things and learning from them, what you stand for as a business shouldn't change, but how you do things should never stop changing.
So I'm curious, in today's era, now that you have all these tools that are available for you, if you could go back in time and you were starting David's Tea again, do you think it would be way easier for you? And you're just like, man, if I had the technology we have now, it would just be, forget a couple $100 million. We'd be $1 billion company quickly. Or do you look at it and be like, I don't think I would have done much differently?
I would have done it very differently. I don't know, easier or harder, I'm not so sure. I think it would have been easier. I think today it's easier to get to, $0 to $5 million. I think it's harder to get to 500 million or 50 million. I think there's just a lot of noise today. At the same time, there's a lot of tools that allow you to get started quickly. It's funny you say that. I mean, my venture that I've started since David's Tea is Mad Radish, which I'm super passionate about. We have 3 brands that we operate out of one space. We have Mad Radish, which is a healthy bowl concept, big international flavors, things like piri piri chicken and Santa Fe and which is a Mexican dish, and all these different flavors and sort of healthy eating. Then I have Louisa's Burritos and Bowls, which is authentic South American ingredients. And then we did Revival Pizza, which is a modern take on Neapolitan style pizza. And all of them share this sort of gourmet fast foods, which is really, we're trying to change people's relationship with fast food and elevate fast food and make it so that you can have food quickly, but also have it be incredibly delicious and make you feel great. So I have this business. We've opened 6 of them. Obviously, owning a restaurant business in pandemic has been extremely challenging. We're opening 2 more suburban stores on the outskirts of Ottawa. And we're continuing to grow that, and I've built a really good team around that. But I'm looking to do other projects. I mean, I love entrepreneurship and I love tea. And one of the things I'm sort of debating with is, do I take another approach to tea? And so I'm having myself to grapple with whether it's tea or something else, how you would go about starting a business today. And I think the biggest difference today is that you put your marketing resource, you have to become a media company. You really do. I mean, you didn't have to do that back then. In fact, you couldn't do that back then. The tools just did not exist. Video marketing was in its infancy. I mean, social media was in its infancy. It just, brick and mortar was super important. I mean, when I launched David's Tea in 2008, we had an e-commerce presence. We had an online store, but that was I was ahead of that was not common. It wasn't obvious that I would do that. Right. And it was a small portion of sales. I mean, it was 2% of the sales for the first 2 years, let's say. Whereas now David's Tea probably do $100 million of business this year online. I mean, it is. So, I mean, that has really changed the game and how you go about the business. And I think you have to prioritize the digital experience. It's whereas in the past, the store was the distribution point. Now the store is the discovery point, perhaps. But distribution is online. You're not going to have a lot of stores. You're going to have flagship stores where you can create experiences and ways for people to connect. I still believe that brick and mortar will come back. And I still believe that a lot of online brands will have a physical presence. But if you're not prioritizing your digital experience, and if you're not connecting with people where they are, which is on their phones, you're not in the game. And that was very different in 2008.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want, check out our most recent video over here. And this one is the one YouTube thinks you'll like. But if you really enjoyed watching, please do me a favor, like and subscribe over here. Thank you so much.